Hey, everybody. It's 4 p.m. on Wednesday, the early bird special. Hi, everyone. How's it hanging? How are you in day 4070? I don't know. Oh my God. I hope everyone is well and happy. And New York is slowly waking up, which is really great. Now it's not just me and my husband and the homeless people. There's actually other people in the streets. So that's a good thing. But I have to say, I'm not digging the fact that the tourists are going to have to come back to New York City. I know we need them and we need their dollars, but it's been really nice being able to walk down the street and not have to bump into people. And when I walk with my husband, when it's a normal New York day, we call it tourist bumping or bowling for tourists. So that's coming back. And so that'll be another sport that we can play. So without further ado, I'm so excited. Our special guest is Wendy Liebman. We'll be bringing her on in a couple of minutes. And of course, my fabulous co-host, who I have to say she keeps me on my toes because every Wednesday morning, she always says, "What about this idea?" And I'm like, that's really a good idea. Thank you for thinking about that because I just wing this shit. So let's bring back my fabulous co-host. Let's say hi to Julia Scotti.
I'm coming from the new studio.
Oh wow!
You might notice the lighting's a little bit different.
I know.
I'm in the kitchen, so that's.
I'm impressed. You did the lighting. You did your hair. Did you get a haircut?
No, God, I wish I've been praying to St. Jude for like weeks now and nothing.
But your hair it looks really good right now. So that's why I was thinking maybe you did too.
It's kind of like, Halley's Comet. Every now and then it just switches by and you go, oh, that's pretty. And, but it's, I just want you to know, I've got MSNBC on. I'm watching the SpaceX thing.
But it's been delayed now till 4:30, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why I'm doing my reporter's duty here. I'm watching it so I can multitask.
Yes. And before I bring Wendy on, we have a question from Vicky Cooperman.
Well, go ahead, Carol. You take that one.
I'm actually wearing shorts. I'm wearing a really nice top to show my guns off because I'm still showing off my guns, but I am wearing shorts. So
I'm wearing shorts too, and I'm showing my guns.
You're showing your guns too, huh?
Oh yeah, they're almost. That picture of you in the subway, Jesus Christ, you scared the hell out of me. I wouldn't mess with you.
Yeah, well, I've been doing weights in the apartment. I literally have laundry detergents, and I do that.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and I have a little amp that my husband bought for Lane. That's 13 pounds. So it's literally like a free weight because I don't do more than 15 or 20 pounds.
That's great.
Yeah, and by the way, Sonny, my soldier said rules to COVID-19 is no pants.
Is that your soldier?
Yes, that's my soldiers. Yes, that is my soldier.
Hey,
Sonny. Hi, Sonny. So we have our special guest. We're both so excited about. I've known Wendy forever, and we'll talk about this because Wendy and I have a connection that's just so out of, like, people will be like, really? Well, how? And then, of course, you and Wendy have a bunch of things. So without further ado, I'm so excited. Let's welcome Wendy Liebman. Yay!
Yeah, hi, Wendy.
No pants.
No pants.
No pants for you too. There we go.
No, I actually am. I decided to get dressed up for this, and I'm wearing my fancy thong.
Oh, the fancy one.
That's great. It's so funny. Like, I literally, Julia and I talked about when we first started this. I look forward to the show now just so I can actually shower and put makeup on.
Well, it's true. It's true.
You showered? You shower?
You need something to do every day.
Yeah. So it's been like, oh, I get to, all right. And what's funny is I literally have nothing to do. None of us do. And then Wednesday morning when I wake up, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to do the show. And it's like, Carol, you only have one thing to do today, and it's to do this.
I know.
Speaking of which, we didn't hear Todd. Where was he?
Oh, you didn't hear him again? We have to figure out that.
No, I didn't hear him at all.
How are you doing, Wendy? How is it? in this fabulous.
Am I looking in the right place? I never know where to look.
Yeah, just look
you're
straight.
fine.
Yeah, just look at the computer. You look fabulous. Your hair always looks great. So
not really. It's so like my husband cut his own hair.
Right.
And I've been trying to get an appointment with him. I actually have to fix some of the. Hold on.
Oh, look at you.
What is that, magic marker?
It's hair dye. It's a crayon. It's a crayon.
Wow.
It's called Tween Time. I'm not doing a commercial for them or anything.
Wait, we didn't do product placement this week.
Yeah, you. Do you have your product placement, Julia?
I do actually. Yeah.
What is it? Kitty Cravings.
Kitty Cravings. Yeah.
And mine is sparkling ice. This is and Tween. So you're holding in. So you're doing. I mean, I see you do those little videos every day, which is wonderful to see how you are. It's such a weird time.
It is so weird. But what you were saying, like you need something to motivate you to shower. That's what I have done every day for 66 days. I'm on 67 now.
Wow.
I started it a few days after I started staying home, but it's given me a purpose, and I think it's been resonating with people, with a person. It makes me feel useful.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think all of us, whether or not, because, like the newbies, they're out every night. They're out doing.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Are you kidding me? For real?
What's happening?
Just talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, the newbies, they go out and do 4 or 5 sets a night. So, I mean, the veterans like us, we're not out as much. But boy, oh boy, not being out is just so bizarre to me.
What do you mean? The newbies are performing now?
No. I'm talking about when normal life, right. When they would go out every night and be on stage 4 or 5 times a night and run around to the clubs and everything. I don't do that anymore. I haven't done that in years. But just the thought of not being, I don't even know what I'll say if I go on stage again. I don't see going on stage for a while. What do you think?
Well, I've been doing Zoom shows.
Okay.
And so it's a new skill, like as comedians, we've had to learn different skills over the years. It's not just about getting on stage. It's about doing press, learning radio, learning travel. I mean, it's a lot of things we've had to learn. And this is one new thing.
Yeah.
How to do a show over Zoom.
Yeah.
It's unique. It's challenging because not everybody, you can't hear everybody laughing. So your timing is off, but
yeah.
Challenge. I've done about 8 Zoom shows now.
Good for you. I can't. I've been asked to do it. I don't know what it is. I'm just, they're going to go, I'm going to be the last one that does it because at some point, you know what I mean? I think at some point that's maybe what we're going to be doing for a while. And I don't know. Julia, were you?
I missed that part because I was yelling at the guy, the landscaper who was riding by on his mower. Were you talking about doing stand-up shows?
On Zoom.
Oh, Wendy, I got to do one next week, and I'm petrified.
No, growing up, I didn't have an imaginary friend, but I did have an imaginary audience. So it's kind of similar. It's like you're performing to the mirror, sort of, but you can hear a few people laughing, and it depends how they do the settings.
Yeah. I mean, I heard the Nowhere Club, which is Steve Hofstadter's place. Supposedly that's the one that's the model that everyone's trying to do because you can they run it like a comedy club. Oh. So, but when
you say run it like a comedy club, what do you mean?
Well, supposedly like they come out and they say, make sure your mics are off. There's no heckling. There's
minimum.
Yeah. I mean, they try to make it more of a comedy club experience. I don't know how they get the laughter in. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that if you mute yourself and you're watching, then you can hear the laughter. So I don't really know how they're doing it.
I saw the Flappers one last week.
Right.
Because that's the one I'm doing next week. And they had, everybody was lined up, like we are, but there was 20, 30, 40, 50, I forget how many, but you could hear the laughter. They just left their mics on. I don't know how you can't mute your mic and then laugh. That doesn't make sense.
It depends how the administrators do it.
Right.
So I've done some shows where you couldn't hear anybody laughing, or you could just hear the kids laughing. So that's what I mean. It's learning a new skill.
Here's what I want to do, and maybe you two have an answer for me. I decided my neighbor up the street who I love, she said, why don't, let's do it in the backyard. And with socially distanced, have maybe 4 or 5 people sitting around the patio table, setting up the camera. My biggest concern, because I was originally going to do it in my garage with people sitting in the driveway, but setting up the camera, I'm concerned about the audio. Do either of you know how to plug a mic directly into the computer? Oh, that answers that question. Thank you.
And I am too. So whatever Wendy said, I'm sure. You know what? I would add. How to put so you want to put a mic? You want to put the mic into the audio of the camera?
Well, it just seems like, if I'm standing in somebody's backyard, you're going to have ambient noise. And I thought it'd be cool if, we could at least get a mic on a stand and if there was a way to plug it into the computer so that they could see you getting a direct feed.
There's got to be a way. Anybody anybody who's watching, if you have any answers to that, how do you put the mic into the computer? So what Julia asked, please. Oh, so my friend Jason Dinat just wrote this. He said that he has a plug that he plugs right into my iPhone. Okay, well, Jason, can you tell us what kind of mic that is so we could put that up? So he's sending me. Oh, there. Okay. So anyway, enough of this Zoomy stuff. We have so much to discuss with you, Wendy, because you and Julia have so much in common in like a very bizarre way. So
once in a while, my hair looks good.
Let's talk about the fact that you and Julia were supposed to be on the first Funny Women of a Certain Age. And both of you could not do it, which was, the women that replaced you were wonderful. But when we had the second one, we were lucky enough to get Julia. And then, of course, you still could not. Now, would you like to explain to the audience what happened?
Well, first of all, your shows are so brilliant.
Oh, thank you, honey.
What a brand you've created.
Thank you.
There is such a need for women our age to do comedy and hear comedy. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for the compliment.
Well, I was supposed to do your gig, the show, the taping, and in November of 2018, I was hit by a car while I was crossing the street in LA, and it literally knocked me out.
What is that noise? Hold on. What is that? Is that yours, Julia, or is that Wendy?
I'm sorry.
They're plowing a field in your backyard. So
Julia, it's fine. It's fine. It's okay. Repeat yourself. You got knocked on your...
Well, I literally couldn't perform for 9 months after that. And then recovery time. So I had to have 2 operations. Jesus. Long story, boring. I can't talk about it yet, like John Bolton. But I'll save it for the book. But it took me up until February of 2020.
Wow.
Until I could perform again. So hopefully you'll be able to you'll do your show again.
Yes.
Again, and I'll get to do it because what a treat that is.
I have to tell you because I'm Facebook friends with Wendy's husband also. So I was strolling through Facebook that November day or the day after, and Jeffrey had written that Wendy's okay, this, that, and the other thing. And I was like, what happened? So the way we were thinking, and I know you were thinking this is the way we are, because Julia, you did the same thing with your heart. You both were like, no, it's fine. I'll be fine for the day. I mean, up until we realized you couldn't. Like, I remember saying to my executive producer, Dave Goldberg, I said, Dave, I said, we'll pick her up from the airport. We'll lie her down on the cab. We'll make sure we'll carry her on stage. Like and the same thing with Julia. We were like, we're doing this. So it was just such a bizarre thing. And then we did the second taping, and we, of course, asked Julia, and we asked you, and you were still in recovery. But I will say this so everyone can hear it, so you know I'm not lying. The next one, when we get one, because, I always believe in saying when instead of if, you're definitely doing it. I don't care. Okay. We need you. We
I want to do it.
So you missed the same thing. We finally came back, and then the plague hit.
What happened to you? I don't know your story.
In November of 2018, which I guess was a cursed month for everybody, I quit smoking because I couldn't breathe anymore. But I was going to have back surgery. And I went to the doctor, and he said, I want you to get a chest x-ray before we do the surgery. So I got the chest x-ray, and I get a call like the next day. He goes, come in here, you have an enlarged heart. I'm like, no, I don't. Well, you did. And so he went to put a catheter in, I forget what they call it.
A stent?
A stent, right. And he got halfway through, and he goes, I can't do this. He goes, there's too much blockage. So they rushed me up to Newark, New Jersey. I lived on the shore here. They rushed me to Newark, New Jersey, and they wound up getting a quadruple bypass with one valve replacement and one repair. That's how I spent my holidays. But the same thing, I wanted to. I told Carole. I said, "Well, no, I should be okay."
Fucking quadruple bypass. Quadruple, yeah. Bypass.
We were shooting on, I think, January 16th. That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm like got a tube down my throat. I'm like, yeah, I'll be okay.
Should be okay.
Wait, so did you ever get the back surgery?
I did last year, last summer. Last summer I did finally. Yeah.
I feel like at this age, it's all about the medical shit.
Oh yeah. Oh,
it's endless.
Endless. I got those a pill case during the week, especially now. Every night I say to my husband, "What day is it? I don't know which."
I know.
I got two of them, one for my AM pills and one for my PM pills.
Well, after this, I have a medical teleconference. Like, I've been putting off going to a doctor this whole time because, so I finally made an appointment. So I'm going to see somebody online at 2:30 at my time, 2:30.
So when you do an online, let's talk about that. So when you do a teleconference, to me, I know I have to take blood because I have high cholesterol and all that. But how do they you can't take blood online. Is it just to talk about what you're feeling and medication and all that?
Well, I've never done it. I'm just
okay.
on my symptoms, but I'm showing my thumb. But other than that,
was that did the doctor require that?
Myself. Yeah, I've never done it before. I'm just going to tell him my symptoms, and then he'll probably refer me to a specialist.
Oh, cool. Well, please, if you can, email me and let me know how it went, because I just, I'm due to go in for all that stuff, for blood work, and I have high blood pressure and all that stuff, and it's just, I was wondering about
Carole having high blood pressure for the virus. They say that's not, like, if you already have high blood pressure, that's a predisposition. So
really?
Yeah, asthma, heart problems, high blood pressure. I have high cholesterol, and I was given a statin right before the pandemic hit, and I didn't want to take it because just thing was askew. I didn't want to have to go to a hospital, so I didn't take it. But I still don't want to.
Well,
I'm on. You're on statins too, right, Julia?
I am. Can we talk about comedy?
Okay.
I feel like we should be sitting on the porch in a nursing home.
Yeah, literally.
You're on statins too? I get the blood thinners. I'm afraid I'm bruising like
this. Is so. It's two Jews and an Italian. This is like this is. Yes, let's talk about comedy. So let's talk about you and Julia have something in common because you both did America's Got Talent.
Mhm.
So, Wendy, let's hear your experience. How did you like it?
Well, it was 2014, and my youngest was going to college, and I was like, I finally have an opportunity to get back to performing, and I needed to make a big comeback, so I auditioned for America's Got Talent, and you know, it was interesting. I think my biggest takeaway was I met amazing people. So, like, I'm still friends with the other talent. The guy who won my year is Matt Franco, and he has his own showroom in Vegas now. He's a magician. He's just amazing. And
that's nice.
Sarah is a comedian. Joe Matarese, I met him. And yeah, but I got more gigs and I got a lot of exposure. So it was a good experience. What about you, Julia?
I'm curious, did you guys do an open audition or did you have an appointment audition?
Well, I know Howie Mandel.
Oh, okay.
So he recommended me. So I had, it was like, I skipped the first step.
Right. Me too.
People were surprised that I did it because I'd already been on TV.
Right.
But that didn't matter. They didn't care.
Yeah.
No, they didn't care. And even, I'm blanking on her name, but the woman who came in second my year, she's a singer. She had already had a recording contract.
Wow.
So
there are a lot more professional people on that show than, you know, they lead you to believe. I mean, they were.
So
Well, yeah, because it's hard to find competent people to be on national television. You know, you're gonna put Buddy Johnson who juggles his grandparents. You know, that's
no, but every once in a while, there's like that woman from Britain who came.
Yes, Peter Boyle. So it's not Peter Boyle.
Something
Boyle.
Something Boyle. Katie Boyle.
What is it? Katie. Elizabeth Boyle. Elizabeth Boyle? No.
Once again,
there's comments. Who is it? Do they know? Anybody?
I don't see comments. Where are the comments?
Yeah, you can see the comments, right? Wendy, can you see the comments?
Yes, when I hit live comments.
Oh, look. So do you have that,
live
Julia?
Comments.
Yeah.
I have private chat.
Laura.
Go to the live ones.
$3.50 a minute. Oh, there they are.
Susan
okay.
Boyle.
Susan Boyle. That's it. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you, Emily, Laura, and Catherine. They all at the same time.
Everybody.
And Teresa and Denise.
All right, people. We got it. It's Susan Boyle. Oh, Madonna. Jeez, Louise.
RCG.
So, yeah, I mean, like I both of you got some great stuff out of it, though. You know, the road. And Julia, what year did you do it? Was it?
I think it was like the year. What season were you?
9. So
yeah, I think I was like 11 or 12. I think it was 11. So a couple of years after you. Yeah.
I think that from everyone that I know that has done it, there's a burst of a lot of work, and then I think the bookers then with everybody goes, what have you done recently? Do you know what I mean?
Well, Tom Cotter had done it, and I started with him.
Right.
Oh, if he can do it, I can do it. And then I think other people saw me doing it, and so they auditioned for it. So it really, that's how.
Well, it does. I mean, it changes your life to a degree. I mean, I got the album out of it. The album out of it. Product placement.
Hello, boys. I'm back.
That's right. Available wherever fine comedy is streamed. I got that deal, and your show really too helped. And there's a documentary on my life, so all of that stuff came because of AGT. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it is. I think AGT, in a way, is like the Tonight Show was back in the day. Do you remember? Like people who have been in the business, you know, less than before the, let's say, you know, Johnny Carson and Jay don't realize what the Tonight Show really did for you. Because to get a late night spot now, it's fun, it's good. It doesn't change anything, I don't think. I remember when I did Oprah, Lane was 4, so now we're talking almost 25 years ago. And I was so excited. I was like, I'm on Oprah. This is it, man. I am just gonna, money is just gonna, right? I saw myself the day before, because they must have taped it earlier on, like a week, because I was home and I was at the gym and there was a commercial and I was on and there were some other people on. I was like, this is it. And then the next day the show aired and I literally, I was like, this is it. And then I walked over to my phone because it was a house phone. I picked up the phone because nothing was ringing and I went, oh, it's still working.
That's, yeah.
The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson,
yes,
10th, 1991. And I remember flying home to Boston where I had a day job.
Wow.
Thinking I can die now.
Right.
Like if this plane goes down, that's all right. But now, now I'm much older and I go, well, being on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson is not the end of, it's not everything. It's about family and
right. But back then,
Letterman, no.
This is a business where you're only as good as what you did last week. And I think we brought this up once before. You ask a kid today who Bob Hope was, for instance,
right?
Who's legendary, who did everything. This kid, nobody knows.
Yeah.
So
I got to open for Bob Hope.
Wow!
I'm glad we brought it up.
In the early 90s or in the mid 90s, I opened for a lot of bands and Smothers Brothers, Julio Iglesias, Ray Charles. It was a dream. Looking back, I was not ready to do that, but I can't believe I get to say that I opened for Frankie Valli. And
I did too.
Sheena Easton, and you did too. See, we have a lot in common.
We're sisters.
So one time I was in Florida and there was like a 20-something-year-old driving me to a gig, and Barbra Streisand came on the radio, and I said, do you know who Barbra Streisand is? And he said, was she in Meet the Fockers?
Oh my God. But
it's a great leveler if you start to ever get some kind of an ego situation. Just remind people, when you're dead, like a year from that death date, nobody's gonna know who you are. I don't care how famous you are.
I know.
There are people that don't even know who Robin Williams was. There are kids, you mention his name and they're like,
who?
I don't know.
Who?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, and you see all my heroes. My earliest, my biggest heroes are the Marx Brothers, and you mentioned the Marx Brothers. Now they're like, what? What is that? Is that a grocery store? Brother? What's a Marx Brother? Or the Ritz Brothers? Even the Ritz Brothers were.
Oh, forget it! Now you're really pushing the envelope. They're not gonna. The only one who knows the Ritz Brothers is Mike Rowe. I think he's a big Ritz Brothers fan.
The Ritz Brothers were similar to the Marx Brothers, but they never made it. But they were very big in the Catskills.
Somebody sent me a clip recently of You Bet Your Life or Groucho Marx, and the guest was, or the contestant.
I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
Stiller.
Yeah.
And she had just started doing stand-up, and I don't know how she got the gig, but you could tell she was very nervous.
Wow.
And he wanted to give her a showcase. So he said, tell us a little bit about what you do. And then she starts talking. You can kind of see the Phyllis that we know. Wow. Emerging.
Wow.
It's a great clip. It's a great clip.
He was brilliant, Groucho Marx.
Oh yeah. And brutal. Just amazing. I'm going to have to Google that. So I'm sure if you Google Groucho and Phyllis, it will come up.
Oh, right? It's there. You can go right on YouTube and find it.
Oh, cool.
I met Phyllis's son, Perry Diller, and I said, it was the contestant that was with her, your dad, because they had a couple.
Right.
And he said no, but they became really good friends.
Oh, that's funny.
She became friends with the contestant, the other contestant?
Well, I saw Phil. One of the things when, I was in Vegas for 10 years. I keep moving. I'm trying to figure out. I was in Vegas for 10 years, which a funny story just cited. Do you remember when that was so long ago? I was working and for some reason, this is before I lived there. I was working at the Improv and they mailed me my check and your check was in it. Do you remember that,
Yeah.
Wendy?
Did you ever give it to me?
Yes. and I remember calling you and going, I have your check.
Oh my God.
And so I had to mail. It was like the funniest thing. It was like, what? Okay. So
It's coming back. It's coming back.
yeah. And so I went to see, I got really lucky. I got to see Rickles in Vegas. He was, oh, no, not Rickles. It was George Burns was playing because I was at the Riviera, and the Splash was the big major show in the major showroom. And I got to, after my show, they snuck me in and I got to watch George Burns. But, and any like Phyllis Diller came in, it was her last tour. I got to see Phyllis. I mean, it's so important. And this is one of the reasons I love talking about comedy is for younger comics. If you're watching this, go back. You got to watch Julia, watch Wendy, watch their clips. Watch the veterans before us, because there's so much talent out there. You know, like everybody just thinks, oh, it's whoever the, you know, flavor of the month is, the hot comic is. But, you know, I would go see, you know, even though he's a piece of shit, I would have loved to have seen Cosby live. I mean, I would have gone to see, I went to see Jerry Lewis in Vegas, even though he had made all those horrible comments about women, because I still felt as a comedian, he was somebody in our history.
Well, I've always tell young comics, go back, you know, like if you're a painter, you're going to go back and study the masters.
Right.
If you're a musician, you're the same thing. Same in comedy.
Yeah.
And I specifically tell them, look at the silent comedians, because they had no dialogue. They had to rely completely on their body to generate their laughs. You know, and comics do not use their body anymore. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I
interrupted you. When I first started, I started in Boston in the early 90s, or in the late 80s, actually. And I listened to the other comedians. It was John Gavin and Brian Kiley and Jonathan Katz and Laura Keitler. And when you hear other comedians, you understand, like you learn the rhythm. And Kevin Meaney I watched. So yes, watching the other comedians is very important. And I always found, like when I was on the road, that by the end of the week, I started sounding a little bit.
Yes.
It was very similar to the other comedians.
Me too. We all did that. It's so. Oh, I feel so good. I'm so glad it wasn't just me. Because
I felt like, oh, I'm kind of copying them.
Yeah, for about a month I sounded like Sinbad. I couldn't stop.
Thank God you didn't get one of those haircuts, Julia. Thank
that
God.
guy. I tell you, that guy was that's one of the best shows I've ever seen. He was phenomenal. And that was back in the 90s or the 80s or whatever. I worked with him at Chuckles. Oh God, he was great.
Yeah, like one of the best shows I've seen amazing shows. Some of the best were a couple of years ago. I did a gig with Mike McDonald. He does a charity event in Boston, New Hampshire, the East Coast. And Paul D'Angelo, who you might have heard of, might have not, it was one of the funniest shows I'd ever seen.
Really?
What was the name again?
Paul D'Angelo.
I have to look him up.
Yeah, me too.
Steve Harvey, before he got famous, just kill it.
Right.
And a guy named Pat Bullard.
Oh yeah, I know Pat. He's great.
He came to Boston. My home club was Catch a Rising Star in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and every week I would go and watch the headliner. And he just killed it. I mean, I know I don't like that term, but it's like the audience is just enraptured in what he's saying.
And it's interesting. I love that you brought that up, because not to sound like grizzled old vet, but I don't know whether or not you see a lot of that in the younger comics coming up yet. I don't know.
Studying other comics?
No, that like I remember asking a young comic like about 4 or 5 years ago, like, well, who do you think kills? And the people that they named, I was like, but did they really kill, or are they just? Wendy, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I remember Julia's heard this story before. When I was living in LA before I moved to Vegas, I was a regular at the Comedy Store, and I used to have to follow Joe Rogan.
Oh my God.
And it was, first of all, you learn to just think on your feet when because you know how much he was crushing. But it was such a great exercise for me because I knew I had to go, I had to go and I had to just do what he did because he brought the crowd up. And I don't know whether or not, like, I know what you're talking about. I love that feeling of watching somebody and your side is like, oh my, okay, you're so good. And I don't know if I can really say that about people coming up now. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being jaded.
Maybe it's a different art form at this point because
you think the art form is different or the
I don't know. Thinking of Hannah Einbinder, she's amazing, but it's a different. It's not like jokes like I tell.
Right.
So,
it's like Hannah Gadsby.
Like Hannah Gadsby, who I just think is
brilliant.
Yeah.
But I miss that. I miss that. Like I remember watching the first Richard Pryor film, and I still watch it, and I know what's coming, and I still die all the time.
There are some comedians I watch and I go, I should never have picked this as a career. Like I once saw Eddie Izzard's special and I thought, I'll never attain that. And then I just have to remind myself, I do what I do. And he does what he does. When I first started, Paula Poundstone was that person in Boston. And I just remember thinking, that is like one person has that skill. And that's Paula.
Right.
Paula's in a league of her own, though. She's just somewhere else.
Joe Rogan as well once at the Comedy Connection in Rhode Island, and yeah, it's a different kind of killing. And I saw the late Mitch Hedberg. Just destroy the room.
Isn't it interesting in this conversation the majority of the comics we've talked about have been male?
Except Paula.
Except for Paula. What's up with that?
Well, because then we'd have to start talking about each other, and we know how great we are.
You know, I never thought of that. You're right.
Well, because back when, because I started in '79, and then Wendy, you came in like you said in the 85. So, and Julia, you were
80.
Okay. So, there weren't a lot of women, let's be honest. There were not a lot of women. I mean, I remember, who was the, I should know this. She was Mitzi's favorite. She was an Asian woman who was at the Comedy Store. May Pang? No, that's not right.
No, she married.
That's John Lennon. Okay.
Yeah.
But there were, Mitzi only had, she had the, what was the room called? The what?
The belly room?
The belly room. And so that's where we were allowed to go into. And it was, there weren't a lot of, there was Lois Bromfield was great. She was,
Kent.
Huh?
Roberta Kent,
Marsha Warfield. There were women, but, when we were coming up, maybe you saw one person. I mean, in New York at Catch a Rising Star, where I was a regular, it was Adrienne Tosh.
Adrienne, yeah.
She ran that room, and she was amazing in it.
And Pam Madison.
Yep. Carol Leifer. Yes. Who? Kathy. Right. Kathy and I started together, but we never saw each other because if I was doing a show, she wasn't on the lineup, and vice versa.
Right. Well, what I love is I run a room in Studio City, or I did before the pandemic. It's called Locally Grown Comedy, and I showcase the comedians here. And you're both welcome to do my show if you're ever in LA.
Oh, we'd love to if we ever get a plane ride.
And what I love is I've had all women on the show and not even mentioned it.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
It didn't even dawn on me to mention.
Right.
So.
Right.
Well, I'm experiencing that now being trans. It's like you would never. First of all, you never see two trans people on the same show unless it's a trans-specific show. But they wouldn't even put like an openly gay person on the show with me. It's like,
right.
I don't know why. It's just a thing.
Gay show I went to in Boston. It was upstairs at the Comedy Connection. this was in the 80s, and everybody was like, "Oh, are you going to that show?" Like, it was
Forbidden show.
it's called Three Funny Gay Males. It was
The funny gay males were out of New York, weren't they? They were
but it
Taffy Phillips.
no, it was three guys. It was Jaffe Cohen.
Yeah.
And anyway, I can't remember the two other, but it was like still taboo in
Right.
the late 80s.
Right.
So
I remember them.
I love that that's changed.
Yes. Oh, we have a fan from Japan watching.
Ooh.
Really?
Hi, Julia.
Chris Tao. I love you too.
I just wanted you to
Ohio. All I know about Japanese.
It's so interesting about not mentioning that it's an all-female show. And what's funny about the show, Funny Women of a Certain Age, was, you know, I would prefer that we never said that we were women of a certain age. But, you know, I think that it's important that we show that there were, on each of the shows, there were 6 women on each of the shows, and they were all different. And they were all, I mean, like my attitude's always been, within the live show or the TV show, is if you don't like that person, you're gonna like that person. If you don't like that person, we have to start breaking the myth about that all women talk about the same things.
Well, yours is a brand, so
right? Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's different.
Yeah,
you're calling it because you're trying to reach a certain audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it has to not even be the fact that we're women. It's that we're all over 50. Because I have said this numerous times. If I had to choose ageism, I would choose sexism over ageism, because a pat on the ass meant that somebody noticed me. You know, I mean, because I'm sure you deal with this too. This invisibility that blew me. That's the thing that blew me away more than even being a woman. Is this? You're old.
Well, what's funny is, and maybe this is like a character flaw, but one of the reasons I think I succeeded early was because I didn't think of myself as a female comic.
Right.
And now I know I'm older, I'm 59, but I don't think of myself as an older person. So,
right.
I'm so freaking immature.
That makes perfect sense. So, by the way, ladies, we're almost out of time. I just wanted to.
Damn it.
I know this is so much fun. Let's just do. We always have questions here. Let's. Do you have a worst road gig or an embarrassing gig that you'd like to share with the audience, Wendy?
Well, I've had a few, but one time I was at Cobb's in San Francisco at Fisherman's Wharf, and there was a woman in the audience, and she kept saying, I'm a stand-up too. So I would chat with her, and I like talking to the audience. So then I told the joke about a third of my way in, and she goes, I could have written a funnier punchline.
Oh no.
Like I was gonna cry, because every once in a while I just don't want to be there. I'm either going to run off the stage or come up with something. So I said, and where are you working tonight? So, and then one other time, also in San Francisco, this woman said, we're having a bridesmaid's part. We're having a or bridal shower. And I said, oh, are you the mother of the bride? And she went crazy, because apparently she was the same age as the bride. I knew I was too old to be in the bridal shower.
Oh my God.
I'll have to do therapy with her afterwards and say, I didn't have my glasses on. I couldn't see how old you were.
And was this like a private party?
No.
Oh.
So it's like in front of other people.
If you're gonna go, you might as well go big.
Right, exactly. Julia, do you have an embarrassing gig?
I was thinking while Wendy was talking, I was up in the Poconos one night, and this guy just would not look at me while I was on stage every time, and I kept saying, "Hey, I'm over here, I'm over here." Turned out, I said, the guy was blind. And I didn't find. Apparently, he plays this joke every week on the comic.
Like, oh wow!
And he nailed me, but good. And then He was such a good sport. He came back at the end of the show and apologized, but son of a bitch, yeah, it really made me angry.
I have too many, you know, I mean, offhand, I can't think. I always, I think I talked about this story last week or the week before, but I did the Friars Club in Los Angeles, and it was a smoker.
Oh, yeah.
And it was all men, and it was smoker and wrestling. No, yeah. And it was me and Dom Herrera, and motherfucker. And if you're watching, Dom, if I ever see you, he threw me under the bus because he said, I have to go on first. I have to leave. And it was all men. And then Dom, and then me. And if you remember, I mean, everyone knows me now, but back then we're talking, I was in my 20s. I was blonde and, you know, this cute little thing. They hated me. And as I'm driving home, I smelled like cigars. So I could remember the gig over and over. It was awful. Anyway, guys, this has been great. Wendy, would you come back and talk more with us? We'd love to have you.
Cito. Hi, Beth Sussman. Hi, Jana.
Hi, everybody who's been watching. I'm trying to do the comments, and I'm just so terrible at this. I really need a producer to do this, but I'm also a producer, so who knows? Anyway.
You're amazing. I don't know where your energy comes from.
I'm going to take a nap as soon as I leave. So, go ahead. Huh?
Thank you for having me, and I loved meeting Julia too.
Thank you. I was boy. It was so nice to meet you finally too. Thank you. Thanks for being on.
And just so you know, we do have a Women of a Certain Age tour coming up, but now everything's been moved to 2021. So hopefully, except for that date. So don't get crazy.
Wendy, Wendy, I was talking to Anita Weiss this morning, and we were saying we should take a road trip out to LA a couple of times a year, which is what I want to do. So yours is one of the things that we're talking about doing. Carol, we were going to rent a Winnebago and do it cross country.
I'm in. I mean, I'm inviting myself because if you fucking mentioned it, I'm doing it. Okay.
Yeah. So, we were going to film it and stuff, so it should be fun.
Yeah. I mean, you know, anything. You guys are, you know, you're both, because Wendy has done the live show and done a kick-ass. You know, anything when we go back to, and this is for the audience also, when we finally do go back to touring and live shows, Women of a Certain Age is going to be out there, and I know that Julia and Wendy will be joining me on some of the dates. We just don't have any dates yet. So, I love you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, audience. Mwah. Julia.
Love you too.
I will talk to you, and everyone stay safe. Good night.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.